if I opened up my old marble notebooks, the first poem I ever wrote in 1984, it actually wasn't the first poem. I actually wrote a couple of poems in the 70s that I'd forgotten about that I talk about in this memoir. But the first poem that I wrote when I said, I'm going to write poetry was about this girl that I was trying to woo in high school. I won't use her real name, um, but I wrote, it was called A Chance, and it was just quatrains, and it was crap. But even amongst that 3 or 4 pages of quatrain crap, there were probably half a dozen to maybe a dozen turns of phrases that I could look and say, that person has it. Jessica often comes to me and says, I always say someone has potential, or someone. Well, there are lots of people that have potential. You asked me in the last time, to name poets who I thought had as much or more talent than I did. And there are people who never did anything that I could see little turns of phrases and I could encourage people, but most people don't stick with it. Most people don't have that passion, and they don't want to do the hard work. It is hard fucking work. It is harder to write a great poem than it is to do a single day's work of physical labor. And I've done that. I've taken mauls, I've taken sledgehammers, and I've literally worked day labor jobs where I was literally breaking rocks like on a chain gang back when I was in my mid-20s. I did that here and there. I did a little bit to get the experience, a little bit just to have a little bit of money, but I've done heavy physical labor. To write a poem, to write a book like the Vincetti Brothers, that takes more effort than it would to take for an average person to work 10 years doing any job. Uh, I don't care what it was, in management, physical labor, whatever. That takes a more concerted effort. And one of the things I've gotten uh, uh, really mastered is concentration. I can distill. I not only can distill words, but I can distill my concentration that everything else extraneous goes out. And I was talking about having a convective mind in one of the recent interviews I did, a convective memory. And I know when I get on that, it's just like when I read, and I'm reading a bad book and I can start reading paragraphs by myself. I can't do it. I can only do that. I can't do it consciously, but it happens unconsciously. In the same way, when I get on a roll and I'm writing a great poem, or I'm writing great words, I'm thinking great, my unconscious mind takes over. For example, if I was in a debate, for example, with Harold Bloom talking about poetry or anything, I would, after about 10 or 20 minutes, and if I went on a soliloquy, I would be like, if you mixed Oscar Wilde with Robin Williams, with George Carlin, with William F. Buckley and James Baldwin, I would be a combination of all of them. Things would be coming out of my mind so quickly. So I would be, Harold Bloom would be a bloody pulp on the floor. I would slice and dice him intellectually. He would be ashamed to show his face ever again.